This one has been talked about the entire offseason, so time to hit the field in Columbus, Oregon, Ohio State. They rule their own conferences. Who will be the better team when they get it on at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern time at the Horseshoe? We got Ryan Winter on the line from Sports Chat 503 to give the Oregon side. Ryan, it's always good to see you.
Always good to see you too, Mark. Voice of college football, you're the best, man.
Well, I appreciate that. When it comes to the Ducks, there's a reason we bring you on here. It's always a good time, always good information, insight, the whole deal. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm passionate about it, right? You know, we kind of do our thing out here, and it may be a little different than the rest of the country, but we like what we do out here, and we've been just super excited about this game. You know, obviously last year it got taken away with COVID, and we just have even more emphasis on this one. So it seems to be kind of a one-off until they meet again, maybe 2035 or so. Maybe the Alliance could help us out with that, but yeah, we're ready to go.
So Oregon didn't appear to be ready to go once Kayvon Thibodeau left the field last week, but that is an overgeneralization, I'm sure. But you know what most of the national media and fans of other teams are going to think just looking at, 31-24, Thibodeau left the field, they were up 14-0. Wow, they're in trouble. They got off to a bad start. Now they're going to Columbus, and it's going to be a big mountain to climb.
Yeah, I mean, first week didn't look good for anybody, especially in the Pac-12 outside of UCLA. And that was actually their second week. They played Hawaii earlier, but, you know, yeah, sloppy game, you know, and you take away those first two turnovers for Oregon, and Fresno could have been up, 10, 15 points on it, so dangerous game, pretty good matchup. Hopefully Fresno State has a good game this weekend against UCLA, common opponent, and then the rest of the year, obviously, but not what the Duck fans wanted at all. And then the injury was just, I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau was easily the best player on the field at that game. And chances are he'd be one of the best players on the field this weekend at Ohio State, full capacity. And it was such a tough injury. Just a random guy had rolled into him. People have seen the play, but ankle injuries are weird. It could be a day or two. It could be weeks that those things can linger. And anybody who's had those sprained ankles, those things are just very strange. And everybody heals differently, obviously. But this guy is a speed guy off the edge, and he needs every single element of his ankles working to be able to go up against a great offensive line in Ohio State.
Any other injuries from the Fresno State game that are meaningful?
Yeah, I mean, Drew Mathis went out the starting middle linebacker the next play after Kayvon Thibodeau, so that kind of was a bang situation. And then, yeah, they ruled off 18 points. So those injuries matter. Obviously, we have some very young linebackers that were able to fill that gap, but having that senior linebacker out it does give us a little bit of a trouble in the linebacker core. The young guys stepped up; they played a great game, but it's just one more guy that's out.
So, Ryan, they kept it pretty conservative on offense for the most part. Anthony Brown checking down a lot, intermediate passes, nothing too crazy. Your thoughts about him going up against the Buckeyes this week?
Obviously, the question is for the Buckeyes about their safety and corners with injuries and whatnot, missing that first game. And I like Anthony Brown, game manager. I think there's not that. I think that's an insult nowadays with quarterbacks, and I don't think necessarily that's true. I think there's some quarterbacks that are going to go out there and be the star of the show. This is a guy who's just one of the 11 guys on offense, and he gets the job done. The throws are a little iffy sometimes. It felt like the intermediate passes, some of them were a little off, throwing behind his receivers, throwing to the post and only having a catch and then coming down with it, missing some throws, but that happens in the first week, and that's going to go on. There are also some really nice throws, and including a very nice touchdown bomb to Johnny Johnson III. So there's good things there. Only problem is for Duck fans is they were really hot on this guy very quickly because they want to see the ball thrown around. And I don't think Cristobal's offense is set on that. I was trying to tell Duck fans on my own YouTube channel, be prepared for a strong running game and a lot of ground and pound and a lot of controlling the clock, and not really what we're used to as Duck fans of spread the ball out and get the ball to a lot of receivers in space.
If you're an Oregon fan, you definitely have to be at Sports Chat 503 right here on YouTube. So just lock it right in, just put it right there in the search bar and catch Ryan. But even if you don't like Oregon football, if you're just a college football fan that likes to scan the nation and check out different sites and check out different content and a different perspective, check out Ryan's work. Sports Chat 503, definitely do that. Based on what you expected out of this, we'll stay with the offense before we move to the defensive side. What were the positives? What were the negatives, the concerns going into Columbus based on what you expected out of this offense? Just taking, again, the overreaction theme to week one. But your perspective on the offense.
Well, so it's up front. That was the side of the ball that you thought you had a pretty good control over, bringing back everybody off of the line basically from last year and having more young guys, more talent coming in. Kind of some question marks on the offensive line, though. Fresno's front did look good, but nowhere near what we're going to see from Ohio State, obviously. And I thought the running game is pretty solid. I think it's kind of up and down a little bit. It felt like there was a little stagnant at times, but it got what it needed to get, especially late in the game, moved the chains. We just want to see more offense through the air, I think. I think that's the exciting part of the game, and I think that might be a part of the balance we needed to go up against Ohio State. The one thing we saw when we watched Ohio State was Minnesota was able to run the ball a little bit on them. Before the injury, their running game looked pretty strong. I don't know about the passing game if they're at full capacity, because I think their defensive backfield is one of the best in the country. So I do think Oregon's offense going into it might be a little vanilla. It might stay vanilla for a while. I don't know if there's a different playbook they can get from that they weren't accessing that first game. I think that is a common misconception of people saying, well, they just held a lot of stuff back. I don't know if that's the case. They were down. They fumbled the ball to start the fourth quarter. They needed to run plays to get the ball into the end zone. And against Fresno State. So I don't think they're going to have any choice against Ohio State. I think they need to throw the whole kitchen sink at it.
Folks, please like the video, share these videos out on social media, because if you enjoy the content, hey, others will as well. So please share the videos out on social media. Sports Chat 503, that's the place to be for Oregon Duck football coverage. Ryan has a good time over there, so please check out his work. I think that most people that aren't locked in on Oregon would be a little bit surprised that the stereotype doesn't necessarily reflect on this team when you talk about the offense being a little bit more conservative than offenses of the past, and the defense being rock solid, like very talented, fast, just lined with NFL players across the board. Just you got to be pretty confident with the defense, although there's been some injury issues on that side, as you outlined.
Yeah, I think it all starts with recruiting. You know, the recruiting the last 3-4 years have been absolutely outstanding, but the defensive side of the ball has been really where some of the key players have been. I mean, Justin Flo, Noah Sewell were two of the highest ranked linebackers in their class. Obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau, one of the number one players in the country in his recruiting class. And these are all defensive guys. So the defensive line, I think, is the question mark. You have some guys that left last year. You're going to need to replace them pretty quickly. Seem pretty good. Brandon Dorlus is the guy to watch out for there. We're number 3. And then the outside, you know, obviously with Kayvon's injury, you don't really know what you got there. But the linebacker core is very exciting to watch. This kid, Justin Flo, is literally what I call apex predator. The guy is absolutely everywhere. He had 14 tackles his first game, 5 solo tackles around, and a forced fumble. The guy was all over the place, and he just plays at a different level. The guy has an energy level like the Ultimate Warrior back in the old days from WWF. So he just goes hard and absolutely is on fire, and I think will be insane during this game. I don't know if they'll be able to maintain that energy, especially if they get down, but I do think that these guys have looked forward to this game now for 2 full years.
I understand that Ohio State's supposed to have one of the top 3 rosters in the nation, as they typically do, but 14.5, that's a big point spread. My goodness, I didn't expect it quite at that level.
Well, I'm not a gambler myself when it comes to that, but I'm saying it's a 2-touchdown win for Ohio State. So if Vegas wants me to gamble on it, they're going to have to put that half over the top of it just to get me ready to take that action. And that's what the name of the game is. Again, Vegas doesn't tell you what the scores are going to be. Vegas tries to set the line to be able to get the most money off of this bang for their buck. And I do like the idea that Oregon's going to be within 2 touchdowns. And if you're within a touchdown or 2, you got a shot, especially late. But I do see this as a game going to Ohio State. I think Ohio State's national championship contender this year. I think Alabama obviously has set himself apart from everybody else, it feels like. But I think Ohio State could find themselves in that 14 playoff and possibly win that first game and find themselves right back to where they're very comfortable in the national championship game.
We have an Ohio State post-game show after the game on the Ohio State channel, so please join us there at the Voice of College Football. And, of course, Ryan will have content for you throughout the week at Sports Chat 503. So, Ryan, what does an Oregon upset look like to you? What's going to have to happen? How does that play out?
think it's a turnover battle. You got to be able to turn them over, get something freaky to happen, possibly a kickoff return, punt return. I think it's going to have to be the law of averages has to go in their favor. They have to be able to have the ball bounce in their favor. I mean, they're going to have to get some sort of a fumble recovery, maybe for points, maybe interception, pick six or something like this on this sort of level, because I don't think straight up they're going to be able to win. I just think that you saw it in the Minnesota game. I mean, this is on the road, in the rain, first quarterback start. All this stuff goes against them, and they cruised to a 2-touchdown win. I mean, it didn't even look like it was difficult by the end of the fourth quarter. And we know how this feels because as a Duck fan, I've seen the Ducks be favored in the 2010 Rose Bowl, where Terrell Pryor ended up winning that game and doing crazy stuff with Jim Tressel. And then obviously the Zeke Elliott show in the last fourth quarter. That game went into halftime close. We thought we had a chance. We had the Heisman Trophy candidate. We'd just come off beating the brakes off of FSU and watched it all go away and lose by 20. So this is a situation where Ohio State's that good. You have to give them that respect. If you don't give them that respect, you're just not watching the game in my mind.
If you're into all-time metrics, Ryan, I would have you cover your ears, but you know this as well as anyone. 9-0 Ohio State in the series all time. But of course, most of those long ago. But Ryan mentions the two huge ones here in the last 10 or 12 years. Ryan, enjoy the game regardless of the result. I expect a good one. I expect it to be a fourth quarter game, very competitive at the shoes. So enjoy, and everybody, again, Sports Chat 503, join Ryan's work right there.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate it. Have fun, guys. Love college football.